Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time, we're going to be talking about data science in banking, and especially in emerging markets. It's really interesting what's happening over there, a lot of cool innovations, and we're so glad to have you all along for the ride. Quick shout out to Afterwork, the YouTube channel that helps make this deep dive possible.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to see all this stuff that's happening. Really transforming the way that financial services are working and, opening up the doors for people who may have been excluded before.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're watching a financial inclusion revolution. Could you give us like a broad overview of what we're talking about here?
I think the best way to think about it is that data science is making it possible well, imagine a world where access to financial services is no longer a barrier, where anyone can access credit, and where a farmer in, a remote village can secure loans with just a couple taps on their smartphone. That's kind of the power that we're talking about here. And especially in these emerging markets where, traditional credit scoring models often fail
Yeah,
because men lack formal credit histories, this is where data science is really coming in.
that makes sense. How are banks using data science to address that problem?
So they're using what we call alternative data sources, and this could be things like mobile phone usage,
Hmm.
utility payments, even social media activity to create these more inclusive credit scoring models.
That's fascinating. I mean, do you have any like real world examples of that in action?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really great story about a digital bank in Kenya that is using data science to provide loans to small-scale farmers. And these farmers, they often lack traditional credit histories. So it makes it difficult to get the capital they need to thrive and grow their businesses. This bank is analyzing things like mobile money transactions,
Hmm.
farming supply purchases, even regional weather data.
Weather data.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How does weather data play into this?
Well, weather patterns,
Yeah.
they directly impact a farmer's harvest and their income. So by analyzing this data, the bank can get a better understanding of, the risks and opportunities associated with lending to each farmer.
So it's all about like building a complete picture of their financial situation,
Exactly.
even without a traditional credit history.
Exactly. And so this data-driven approach is helping these farmers get the loans they need to invest in their farms,
Yeah.
maybe buy better equipment, improve their livelihoods. It's a great example of how data science can have a real impact.
Okay, so we've talked about financial inclusion. What are some of the other ways that data science is impacting banking in emerging markets?
Well, think about fraud. In this rapidly digitizing environment, fraud is a huge challenge. Data science is being used to develop real-time fraud detection systems that are powered by machine learning. They're constantly analyzing transactions and looking for anything suspicious.
It's like having a security guard,
Okay.
constantly monitoring everything.
Exactly. And this protects both the banks and the individuals, safeguarding their money.
It sounds like data science is making banking safer.
Absolutely. And we're also seeing the rise of these hyper-personalized banking experiences. So think of it like this. Instead of just getting generic offers, you're receiving products and services tailored to your individual needs.
Now that you mention it, I have noticed that some of the stuff that I'm seeing is way more personalized than it
Yeah.
used to be.
Yeah, and it's all thanks to data-driven customer segmentation. Banks can now group customers with similar needs and behaviors, and that allows them to offer very targeted products and services.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like in practice?
Yeah, imagine a young entrepreneur receiving guidance on starting a business, while at the same time, a farmer is getting advice on managing agricultural loans, all through these data-driven insights.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach anymore.
Exactly.
It's really about understanding the individual.
Exactly. And data science is also helping banks predict the future of finance. Predictive analytics uses data to forecast future trends, like loan defaults or cash flow fluctuations. And this benefits both the banks and the customers.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about analyzing the past, but predicting the future. How does that work?
So think of it this way. Data can be used to predict which farmers are more likely to repay their loans, based on seasonal trends, historical weather patterns, and even global commodity prices. This allows the bank to make much more informed lending decisions and create a sustainable lending model.
So we've got financial inclusion, fraud detection,
Yeah.
personalized banking, and predictive analytics. Is there anything else that we should add to that list?
Yeah, one more thing. Keeping customers happy. We call this churn prediction. It analyzes customer data to identify those who are at risk of leaving. And that allows the banks to take proactive steps to keep those valuable customers.
So it's like a crystal ball
Yeah,
to know which customers might be thinking of leaving.
you got it. And banks are also using data to create these customized loyalty programs that resonate with individual preferences.
That's really smart. It makes people feel valued.
Right. It's all about figuring out what the customer wants.
This is really interesting stuff. Is there a way that we can give our listeners an easy way to remember all this?
Yeah, absolutely. Think of the acronym FIREPC.
Okay, I like it. FIREPC.
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
So F is for financial inclusion is expanded. I is for innovative fraud detection protects everyone. R is for revolutionize customer experiences through personalization. E is for enhanced decision making with predictive analytics. P is for proactive customer retention strategies. And C is for cutting edge tools like machine learning and big data analytics are being employed.
Fire PC. I love it. It's like a cheat sheet for understanding data science and banking. What a great way to wrap up this part of our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground already, and it's clear that data science is really reshaping the financial landscape in emerging markets. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into this fascinating world.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how these complex technologies are making banking simpler and more accessible, you know?
Yeah, it's not about replacing the human touch, right? It's about enhancing it with technology and reaching people who might have been left out. Speaking of reaching those who've been left out, I want to go back to that story about the digital bank in Kenya that's helping those small-scale farmers.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how data science can help make better decisions. So, by analyzing alternative data, the bank was able to assess the creditworthiness of farmers who didn't even have traditional credit histories.
It's like you're leveling the playing field
Yeah,
and
no.
giving those who have been excluded a chance to participate.
Exactly. And this has huge ripple effects. By
Mhm.
empowering these small scale farmers, you're not just boosting their individual incomes, you're also contributing to the entire region's economic growth.
It's a win-win. Data science can have such a positive impact on communities. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about risk management. How is data science helping banks manage risk in these emerging markets?
Well, traditional risk models often struggle in emerging markets
Mhm.
because of all the unique financial behaviors and dynamics. Data science helps change that. So, by incorporating local economic data, consumer spending patterns, and even things like social factors, banks can create much more accurate risk assessment models.
So it's about going beyond the traditional metrics and
Exactly.
really digging deeper.
Yes, and this allows banks to make smarter lending decisions,
Yeah.
mitigate their losses, and contribute to a more stable financial system.
They're using data to build a stronger foundation. How does data science help these banks actually predict the future of finance?
So, data science is bringing what we call predictive analytics to the forefront. By analyzing all this historical data, banks can identify patterns and trends, and then they can use those to forecast things like loan defaults or cash flow fluctuations.
So you can get a glimpse into the future.
Yeah, exactly. And this benefits everyone. The banks get to manage risk proactively. They can make strategic investments. They can optimize their operations. And the customers, they get timely support. They can avoid pitfalls. And it just gives them more confidence in their financial decisions.
Can we connect this back to the Kenyan farmer example?
Oh, for sure. So predictive models can analyze data like weather patterns, crop yields, market prices to forecast agricultural trends. And then the banks can use this information to figure out how likely a farmer is to repay their loan. And then they can adjust lending terms to make sure it's a sustainable model.
It creates this partnership that's
Hmm.
built on insights and shared success. It's incredible how data science is changing things, especially for those who have been left out traditionally.
It's a super exciting time to be a part of this data revolution. The possibilities are endless, really.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that we touch on one more area, customer retention. How is data science changing the game when it comes to keeping customers happy and loyal?
Great question. Customer retention is obviously super important, and data science gives banks the tools to do it really effectively. So, one application is churn prediction. Basically, it analyzes customer data to identify anyone who might be thinking about leaving. And then the bank can step in and try to keep them.
So it's about understanding what the customer needs
Yeah,
and addressing it before it becomes a problem.
exactly. And data science can also create these really customized loyalty programs. So, by analyzing all the customer preferences and behaviors, banks can design programs that really speak to individuals. And that helps build long term loyalty and satisfaction.
This all goes back to that idea of personalization that we were talking about.
Hmm.
Data science lets banks treat each customer as an individual.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all anymore.
This has been a really awesome journey so far. We've talked about how data science is changing banking in emerging markets. We've talked about financial inclusion, security, personalizing experiences, and even predicting the future. But there's even more to talk about. So stay tuned for part 3, where we're going to wrap up this deep dive and explore what the future holds for this exciting field. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking all about how data science is revolutionizing banking in emerging markets. I think we've saved some of the best stuff for last.
Yeah, I think one of the most impactful things about all this is its potential to bring financial services to people who have traditionally been excluded. We've been talking about that Kenyan farmer story, but it goes way beyond that.
Yeah, financial inclusion is all about making sure that everyone has access to the financial tools and services they need. How is data science helping with that?
Well, it's breaking down these barriers that have existed for way too long. In many emerging markets, people lack, formal addresses or identification, making it almost impossible to even open a traditional bank account.
Right.
But data science is enabling these banks to verify identities and assess creditworthiness using different data sources like mobile phone records or social media activity.
It's like creating a whole digital identity for people.
Exactly. And this is particularly impactful for women
Right.
who are, often disproportionately excluded from traditional finance.
Yeah, it's so important to empower women. I mean, giving them more economic power benefits everyone.
Absolutely. Data science is helping to level the playing field. It's giving women access to credit, savings accounts, other financial services, allowing them to start businesses, invest in education, build a better future for themselves and their families.
Yeah, it's about making a more equitable financial system. That's
Exactly.
really powerful.
And it goes beyond just, access too. It's also about creating products and services that are tailored to the unique needs of these underserved communities. So some banks are developing things like microinsurance products specifically for low-income individuals,
Hmm.
and they're using data science to assess the risk and set those premiums at a price that's affordable.
So they're using data to understand the challenges and create specific solutions.
Precisely. And this focus on inclusivity and accessibility is what makes this whole data revolution so inspiring. It's about using technology for good.
Yeah.
It's about creating a more prosperous future for everyone.
That's what makes this topic so fascinating. It's not just about the numbers, it's about improving people's lives.
Yeah.
So what's next? What does the future hold for data science and banking?
Well, the future is full of exciting possibilities. I mean, we're really on the cusp of seeing even more personalized and seamless banking experiences. Imagine a world where your bank can anticipate your needs before you even realize you have them.
Why?
Proactive advice and support every step of the way.
So it's like a personalized financial advisor.
Exactly. Advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning are going to lead to much more sophisticated fraud detection, hyper-personalized products, really exceptional customer service.
So the future of banking is a human-centered experience powered by data.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive here, let's just think about all the incredible potential data science has to transform banking in these emerging markets. We've seen how it's empowering people, how it's creating economic growth, and how it's building a more inclusive financial world.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to that story of the Kenyan digital bank helping those farmers get access to money.
Yeah, it's a great example.
It shows the real-world impact that these advancements are having.
Yeah, changing lives.
Exactly. And this deep dive was brought to you by Afterwork. If you want to learn more about data science and all the amazing things it can do, check out their YouTube channel. It's a great resource. And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration and that it's inspired you to think about the transformative power of data.